name is Tyler Jones, and today I'll be talking to you about Tordon 101 mixture. The two most active ingredients in Tordon are perchlorine and 2,4-dilurothanoacetic acid, 2,4-D in other words. And how it works is it basically grows itself to death. The cells in the plant split, and so when it keeps growing, it can't get water and nutrients. And just like you, if you don't have food, if you don't have water, you're gonna die. And it's the same thing with this. 2,4-D is the most used chemical in the world, and it's the third most used in the country. It's in over 15,000 herbicides that we use today. What it controls, there's basically not a lot that it don't control, and these are just a few that I just put on here. The only ones that I saw that it did not control for the woody plants that we see a lot in our pine plantations are poplar, holly, which the only way to kill those is with the chainsaw, and magnolia. Other than that, it works really good, and especially on vines. The poison oak and kudzu, mixed at the right rate, depending on how thick it is hell on them. Alright, environmental hazards. This is one of the worst to drift off-site. It will not stay where you want it to stay. Not unless you don't have the right surfactant in it, or if you don't, or the right mixing, it will drift. It will go to your neighbor's house, kill his trees, kill his flowers, piss him off, whatever, but it will. It don't only spread out to other plants, but it'll also go straight down to the ground. It has been tested that it has reached 45 feet in the ground. It has gone that low, that far. So if you're using it, you need to know about your water table and how deep it is, and if it's real shallow and it's not too close to the surface, you can use it. But if it is, it's going to get in there and it's going to contaminate a lot of stuff and cause a lot of problems with your well water if that's what you use to water or drink or whatever you want to do. If you don't have surfactant on it, it will run off very easily. So it comes the rain, if you don't wait until it dries, it will run off, go down the hill, get in the pond, get in the creek, whatever it's going to go to, but it will get in there and cause damage just like it will with the rest of them. Okay, my consultant, I contacted Mickey Blake, and he's a land management forester at Tordon. He says Tordon is not used anymore. They said it is the last thing that they will pick off the shelf. He said it came out in the 80s and everyone loved it. Until they started finding out how bad it drifts, how bad it runs off, and until all this new stuff started coming out. And after they found out that it don't cause as much harm to the environment, they put Tordon up and picked up whatever else came out. So there's a lot of stuff better than this, like Accord, Milestone, Garland is what they will usually use. They use Amacifer too, is big with Jordan for site prep. And like I said before, you have to use a surfactant so it'll stay on what you're trying to kill and try to contain it and stay on the site as much as possible. The caution word for this is danger, because it is extremely dangerous. if you get it in your eye or anywhere on your body, on your skin, you better wash it off with water for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then after that, it says to call poison control if the symptoms have not gotten better, and go straight to the hospital, because this is not stuff to mess around with. People have gone blind, permanently blind from this, and if you inhale it, you need to get to fresh air, and don't induce vomiting with this. And if you swallow it, I'm not sure how you could swallow it. I guess if you wanted to see how many shades of green you could turn, I guess that'd be one way, but other than that, I wouldn't be drinking it. And if it's absorbed through the skin, you do the same thing with the eye. You wash the area for 10 to 15 minutes and call poison control if it don't do anything. Okay, your PPEs. You wear a long sleeve shirt and long pants. You try to cover as much skin as possible and try not to have as much contact with it. Shoes and socks is a give me. I mean, if you're out spreading herbicide barefoot, I think you just need to pretty much give up on life, because it ain't looking good for you. Protective eyewear, whether you have the full face shield, the goggles, the glasses, anything to protect your eyes, that's what you need. That is a must. And the things that stood out to me on the PPE was the chemical resistant apron and gloves. This is the first time I've actually ever seen it or heard of it. I hadn't seen it on the label, so I thought that was really interesting. Okay, ways to apply. Now it says cut surface treatment and cut stubble treatment. This was a new one for me and a new one for Russell and Mike. And the only thing that we could figure out was that cut surface, cut the tree, spray the stump, you know what that is. But cut stubble is when you mow it. It might have like an inch diameter. Take a heavy duty bush hog, mow over it. Take your sprayer, spray it back over. That's cut stubble. And then you can spray it in the broadcast with the skidder or with a tank on it or with the airplane. If you're going to spray it aerially, you would use 5 to 25 gallons per acre, the mixture with water and the surfactant and everything. And if you're doing it on ground, it's 10 to 100 gallons. And with the cut surface ratio, you need a 1-to-1. So like 1 gallon of herbicide, 1 gallon of water, and you do no more than 2 millimeters per site when you're doing that. So you need to make sure that your equipment's calibrated and everything, so you don't overdo it. And then there's the pictures. There's your aerial, your broadcast, you cut stubble, and you cut surface. Weather is also a big factor with this one. You need to know what the weather's doing, what it's going to do, what it's been doing earlier that day. You cannot spread or spray this if the wind is going to be over 15 miles an hour. Like I said before, it's already bad to drift, and that surely ain't going to help. So you need to know what that's doing. And temperature inversions. If it gets too hot and the temperature is high and you're spraying it aerially, and if it's too hot, if you're even spraying it ground, it will not reach what you're trying to keep. It will turn to vapor. So you have wasted all that time, all that money, and in a few weeks when stuff's not bad, you're going to be really pissed. So you need to know how the weather, what it's doing. Forest restrictions. When you broadcast, you cannot use more than 8 quarts per acre. When you're injecting, no more than 2 millimeters of 2 gallon formula per site. Cut surface, no more than 2 gallons per 100 gallons of spray solution, and 1 cut surface treatment application per year. But the one that really stood out to me was you can only use this once every 2 years. So if you spray it and next year or a year and a half, Tordon, stuff's coming back up, you need to kill more stuff, you better leave Tordon on the shelf, because you're not allowed to use that. That's how dangerous it is. And then there's your girdling and cut stump and broadcast again. Now, a little fun fact about this one. We have a couple of people in service that was in service in this room, so Josh or Trotter, if you know about Agent Orange, you want to tell us a little bit about it, you go right ahead.
I know it's a full-blown defoliator. They sprayed it out in the jungle where you had to get through because it's such thick jungle that patrols couldn't pass. And they'd fly over the plane, drop it out, and the big problem with it is, I see it every time I go to the VA, there's guys up there with all types of respiratory conditions. They have skin conditions, a lot of them have all kinds of crazy cancers that haven't been seen in the rest of the populace. And it's being traced back to Agent Orange as the problem from it, so it's about the extent of my knowledge on it.
Trotter?
Well, I just know what I've heard over the years. My first cousin, he's in Vietnam. My ex-brother-in-law, and my ex-brother-in-law's got health problems related to it, been linked to it. My cousin has diabetes, has been linked to it. But they use it like Josh says, a defoliant, so that little dinks wouldn't have nowhere to hide. But I heard a lot of guys that was over there talking about walking through the jungle, and the planes would come over and spring that crap, and it just wet their clothes.
Yeah.
Like rain. And my cousin said they used to run out of water, and they'd have to drink water out of shell craters that was contaminated with it.
Yep, so it was used as a defoliator, so, they could get through, and they couldn't people couldn't hide in it, so they wouldn't get attacked and everything. Well, there's another kind of agent, and it's Agent White. Does anyone know what that is? That's what I'm talking to you about right now, Tordon.
Oh.
It's the same thing. And anyone know, well, I'll tell you, I got its name. When they would ship all of those herbicides and all those chemicals over there to be loaded up on the plane in the 55-gallon drums, it'd be hard to separate one from another, so they would paint a white stripe on the barrel. And they would do it for other chemicals. It was called Agent Rainbow, because they had so many colors painted on them barrels to spray.
If you mentioned that, that's also a lot of the people that are having problems with it now are aircraft crewmen who actually sprayed this stuff on a daily basis. And there's even more cases of air crewmen with repercussions from Agent Orange than there are of infantrymen out in the jungles getting sprayed with it. Because they're handling it constantly.
Another thing, when I was on the fire department high school, we used to use a granular form of Agent Orange to, every year we'd have to go out and check fire hydrants, the pressure on them, see if it's working properly, and we'd use the granular form of Agent Orange to round the fire hydrant to kill the vegetation.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, when it come out that was having these problems, the city stopped buying it.
Wow. That was what?
Well, I've had my damn hands in.
That was like the 80s?
Yeah, 70s,
Wow.
70s mostly, 'cause I went on in 72.
But the only difference between Agent Orange and Agent White is that Agent White did not have dioxins in it. And what dioxins is a chemical with the similar structures. And so of course it got on the food when it was being sprayed, and got on the people, got in the water, and the factories if they was to burn anything back in the day that had it on it, it would be released into the air again. So that's how a lot of people got sick, and when someone was exposed to this and went through this, they was 40% more likely to get cancer and diabetes, liver and heart disease, and a slow nervous system reaction. So you don't think this is some bad stuff? This was what was used. Overview. I think it's a good thing that it does control a lot of species. It is mostly used to control vines and kudzus and right-of-ways now. If companies just want to use it, but they have other stuff like Garland and Amasphere and all that other stuff that they could use for right-of-ways or site prep or whatever they want to do, so it's not used much anymore. It's dangerous to be around. It was an Agent Orange. It's caused a lot of health problems. So you just need to be on your P's and Q's when you're messing around with this and mixing it and spraying it and whatever you want to do with it. And the leaching and runoff, like I said, it will leach 45 feet to the ground. Down here in the sand hills, that's not a good thing. Running off and contaminating water, that's still not that's a very bad thing. So I think there's a good reason why it's on the shelf and people don't use it anymore, and they switch to other stuff because it's nothing to play around with, and it will hurt the environment really bad. So thank you for your time. Are there any questions?